It certainly is that time again. 10 degrees this morning, 7 o'clock this morning, 10 degrees, which is what, 20, 30, about 50, if you double it and add 30. Humidity 72%. Haven't had rain for quite some time now. Pressure in millibars on the barometer, 1019. And the flag, not really doing much. All the wind we've had. We had a couple of weeks of wind non-stop. And that seems to have all disappeared now, which is good. I don't like the wind. The weekend is supposed to be nice. Quite a good forecast for the weekend, but as I've said many times over the years, they do tend to lie. Weather forecast people are like a cheap watch. They lie. How are you? Hope you're well. What have you been up to? Anything interesting? Raise rants at protonmail.com. Let me know. Got a fun, action-packed hour ahead for you. Not really, it just sounded good. I don't know what the hour ahead is bringing, do I? How do I know? I just sit here and make things up. Right. Enough waffle, let's get into it. Email from Jay. Hello Jay, lovely to hear from you. You remember me talking about a neighbour, that's right, who really wanted to be friends. Oh, he was a pain, he really was. A lovely chap. But he wanted to be friends, he was always round. He was a nuisance, to be honest. Now Jay says, my mum told me you don't just invite yourself to a friend's house without warning. Which is true, unless it's an emergency. Yeah, that's a thought, Jay, isn't it? If it's an emergency, that's different. But you don't just turn up. Oh, hi, can I come in? Put the kettle on. I've known people like that. It really is a nuisance. Jay says that a neighbour who lived in another flat in the same building would come to the door without messages or calling first just to ask a favour, which really was, well, yes, that would bother anyone, wouldn't it? He seemed to think that I would want to hang out with him. Yeah, when you don't, you've got things to do. I do understand your email, Jay. I won't read the whole thing. It's quite lengthy, but... Or apparently, I'm just reading here, apparently he'd say if I saw him in the street, you should come over to see me sometime, come to my house. And of course, Jay wasn't interested. That is quite a lengthy email. Jay. I like this bit here where you've put, I'm not your friend. I don't want to hang out. You've put that in capitals. I don't know. It is a problem. I had a friend who he'd just turn up, and one afternoon he turned up, one Sunday afternoon, we had a few family members here, and he turned up, and I said to Trish, I saw his car pull up outside, I said, look, tell him I'm out. And he came to the door and he said, oh, hello, it's Ray. And she said, oh, Ray's out. And he said, oh, I've just seen him in the lounge. We got net curtains. He must have looked through. Trish was very quick thinking. She said, oh, that's his brother. They look the same. They're almost identical. And he said, well, it looked like Ray to me. And he sort of went on a bit. And she said, well, it's not Ray, it's his brother. Ray's out. Anyway, next time I saw him, I said, oh, yeah, my brother and I said, people think we're twins, but we're not at all. We are a few years apart. But we do look very similar. I'm not sure he believed me. But he would just turn up out of the blue. One Saturday, it was Saturday around lunchtime, we were having a barbecue. Family only, there were 20 of us here, 25 of us here. And he turned up and I just thought, I'll let him in. I thought he can come in, he can have a beer or something. Biggest mistake that was. He hung around me by the barbecue, talking and talking and talking. I was trying to do the cooking. In the end, I got someone else to do the cooking. And then I was trying to mingle with various family members, and he was by my side all the time, rabbiting to me, talk. That'd bring me on to something else in a minute. Why can't people just say a sentence, just say what they mean, without having to use like 3,000 words, just to say a 20-word sentence? Stone the crows, it is annoying. But Jay, thank you for your email. Had a lot of emails about friends, and a lot of you are saying that they can be a damn nuisance. Obviously, I don't mind family members just turning up out of the blue. They don't have to phone or make arrangements, make an appointment. That would be daft. If it's family, we've said to them all, and they've said to us, turn up. If you're passing, come in, have a cup of tea. But friends, that's a different thing altogether. There was another chap I knew when I was restoring the radios, self-employed, working from home, in my workshop down the garden. This chap would turn up, John his name. He'd just turn up out of the blue. Hi Ray, put the kettle on. And I'd say to him, right, I'm just going to have to finish this radio, John. I'm in a bit of a rush with this one. I got the customer picking it up later. That wasn't true at all. I just lied, And he'd say, that's all right, I'll go and make the cup of tea. Do you want sugar? And I'd say, well, no, I don't want tea, thanks. Then he'd come back with his cup of tea from the kitchen and he'd sit down next to me in the workshop. That was a mistake, having a spare chair in there. I took that out in the end. It was really for Trish if she came down and wanted a chat. And he'd go on and on, rabbit, 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 rabbit. I was trying to get on with the repair work, the restoration work on these old 1940s valve radios, you know. In the end, what I did, if the doorbell rang, I would creep through the house and have a look through the window carefully in the lounge, carefully. And if it was him, I wouldn't answer. I just wouldn't answer, because then he'd phone, mobile phone, you know. And he'd say, Ray, where are you? I said, I'm out. I'm having a walk at the moment. John, where are you? Oh, I'm at your house. I thought I'd pop in. I said, oh, no, I'm out for a walk. I won't be back for ages. I know that's lying, and it's awful to have to lie to people, but sometimes it's the only way, isn't it? Another chap I knew, he'd ring on the doorbell. I wouldn't answer. I knew who it was. He'd come down the alleyway by the side of our garden. My workshop was down the garden. And he'd be shouting over the fence, Ray, you in there? You in the workshop? Ray. I'd just keep quiet. You know, he couldn't actually see over the fence. It was too high, but I'd keep very quiet. Of course, sometimes I'd have a radio on and he'd hear the radio. And I explained that away by saying, well, yeah, I just leave radios on to test them. Just leave them on for hours on end to make sure they're going to be all right before they go back to the customer. Why have to lie all the time? I know I said in one, when was it? Recently, wasn't it? Don't make excuses. If someone says, do you want to come to a party Saturday night? Don't lie. Don't say, oh, what a shame, Saturday. I can't. Oh, what a shame. I'd love to have come to your party. I've got something on. Don't do all that. Just say, no, thanks. I don't want to go to your party. I don't like you or your friends. And I don't like your parties. No, don't put it that way, but just say, no thanks, no, I don't feel like partying at the moment. Of course, then they'll go on, oh, come on, it would cheer you up. What if you don't feel like partying? No, I don't want to. Oh, come on, you'll love it when you get there. I won't love it when, you feel like, anyway. Sometimes you just have to tell white lies, don't you? I remember my mum doing that when I was younger, lived at home. Someone would invite her, how about you and your hubby coming to so-and-so this weekend? And she'd say, oh, well, this weekend? Oh, no, we can't. We've got some of the family over, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I would love to have, oh, what a shame. Next time, maybe. And, of course, all you're doing is leaving yourself open to next time. You're invited. Oh, you said next time. Oh, did I? Yes, I did, didn't I? No, we got the family over again. Maybe next time. And of course, in the end, they give up. They give up inviting you. I don't know why I've called this episode Dreams or whatever it is. I might change that, actually. You'll be thinking, you haven't called it Dreams. What are you talking about? Well, it's called Dreams at the moment, but I might change that. I had a dream. It was weird. I'm always having dreams. Massive dreams. They are so real. They're frightening. In fact, I wake up disappointed. Oh, dear, that's a shame that's happened. What are we going to do? How are we going to sort that out? Then I realise it's a dream. It's not real at all. There was this girl, a blind girl, okay. We were at some sort of country house, stately home type thing, was it? I can't remember what it was. There were a lot of people there. It was like a big house, a big open day, probably a stately home, perhaps Osborne House on the Isle of Wight, that sort of thing. And this girl came up to me and I've got to leave outtakes in, haven't I? Damn noise, what's that? Something about Russia. This girl came up to me, put her hand on my arm, and she said, can I come round with you? I'm blind. What it was, she sort of bumped into me and then grabbed my arm. Trish was there, and Trish took her arm, and she said, yeah, who are you with? She said, I was with a friend, but they seem to have gone off. She said, I'm 11 years old. Can I come round with you? Trish said, yes, of course you can. It was a bit strange, she's 11 years old. I mean, where's her parents? Who's in charge of her? Must have had a guardian or something. She said she was with a friend. Anyway, we took her round. She's clinging onto Trish's arm and then my arm. And she was a lovely girl. Her eyes, you could see, looked really bad, but she was a really pretty girl. We took her round the gardens of this house and then in the sort of stately home place. We couldn't show her round, of course. We just took her round and told her what we could see. And that dream, well, it seemed to go on for hours. It didn't. They reckon that dreams seem like they're hours and hours long and they're only a few minutes, if that. But isn't that strange? This blind girl of 11 years old coming up to Trish and me and joining us. I don't know, it's really weird. Do you have a lot of dreams? Some of my dreams are nightmares. Others are quite pleasant. Some of them are quite nice. Lovely day out there. Blue sky. Look at that. Very chilly this morning. Heating came on first thing. Only for about 20 minutes or so just to warm up the place, which was nice. I planted tulip bulbs today. 12, no, not 12, 20. 20 tulip bulbs I planted. So that'll be good. In April or May, they should be up and flowering. That will be nice. But no, yes, May, Isle of Wight time. Listen to me, I'm going on halfway through next year. We're not even ending this year yet. What was I going to say? Now I've forgotten. You see, like I've put myself off by rabbiting rubbish all the time. Oh, that was it. I've had quite a few emails about control freaks. Do you remember I mentioned the girl I knew in the pub? You know, she met a boyfriend and he said, oh, I don't want you wearing this. You mustn't wear that. You must change your clothes. You're not going out with your friends. You can't go here. You can't go there. And all this business. He was a control freak. I mentioned that. Was it last Sunday? Several of you have commented on that. I'm not going to read all the emails out, but it's not at all uncommon, it seems. It's not uncommon at all. It's quite worrying, in fact. Who was it? Lindsay. Hello, Lindsay. Nice to hear from you. Lindsay said that she was hounded by her ex-boyfriend for 2 years. She packed him up. It didn't work out. She just got rid of him. That's it. You know, that's the end of us. And he wouldn't have it. For 2 years, he stalked her. Her word, not mine. Stalking is now, it's illegal, isn't it? I think it's illegal. You can get arrested and banged up in jail and stuff. Anyway, he stalked her and followed her about for a couple of years. And he didn't do anything nasty. If he did see her anywhere, he'd say, oh, can we get back together? And she'd say, no, I don't want to. She reckoned he was getting inside information from one of her, I was going to say friends, so-called friends. That's the thing, Lindsay, isn't it? You don't know who your real friends are. She said that her and some of her friends arranged to go to a pub. They were going to have a meal. It was someone's birthday, and there was a bit of a disco there. And he turned up there. Now, one of her friends, so-called friends, must have told him that that's where they were going. That's where Lindsay would be, at this party thing, this celebration for a birthday. And of course, then she didn't know who it was, so she started not telling anyone where she was going. That must have been a really difficult situation, Lindsay. I knew someone who was, I'm not going to mention names, this is years ago, decades ago. She went out with a chap and she stopped seeing him and he followed her. I saw him. Wherever she went, he was there. He was in his car outside her house, watching the house. If she went to a pub, he was in his car watching the pub. I saw him on more than one occasion. He was a policeman. Would you believe it? He was actually a policeman. I didn't know him. I didn't know his name. I didn't want to. I just kept out of the whole thing. But it was worrying for her. She had to sneak out of the back doors of pubs. I remember we were in a pub once and she said to the landlord, is there a way out the back? And he said, why? What do you want to go out the back for? And she said, oh, it's just someone outside I don't want to see. And he said, yeah, follow me. And he saw her out of the back door. And she went home that way. And of course, this chap didn't know. And she was always having to do that sort of thing. It's awful, isn't it? What can you do? You can't go to the police. Well, you can go to the police, but stalking is illegal. I don't know enough about the law on that, but it's, what can they do? I suppose if you know who it is, you know their name and address, you can say, well, look, that's the person. But then the person would say, well, I'm not stalking anyone. I happen to bump into her. We happen to be at the same place. It's bound to happen. We live in the same town. So I don't know. That's difficult, isn't it? That's horrible, in fact. It's not difficult. Have you had any strange dreams or nightmares or been stalked or any weird things going on like that? Raise rants at protonmail.com. Love to hear from you. And I don't read out real names, by the way. Sometimes people will say, don't read out my real name. I don't anyway. Even if you don't say that, I'll make up a name. So that's it. To protect the innocent, not the guilty. What do I like? Right, what else can I talk about? No, that's dreadful though, isn't it? People being control freaks. Oh, there was another one. Who was it? Not Simon. Oh, Raymond. That's right, Raymond. I'm not Raymond, by the way. I'm just Ray on my birth certificate. I'm not Raymond, although some people call me Raymond. Yes, Raymond said that he went out with a young lady many, many years ago, and he finished it. It wasn't working out. He finished it. She was too clingy and needy and obsessive all the time. He lived with his parents at the time, and she was always round the parents' house. is Raymond in? And they'd say, no, he's out, even if he was in. She'd sit on the wall out the front of the house, waiting for him either to come out or to come home from wherever. She'd just sit there for hours. And that was very difficult for him. In the end, she gave up. He reckons that she found a new boyfriend and that was it. Off she went. So that's difficult, isn't it? You can't call the police. You know, this girl won't go away. She's sitting on my garden wall. They're going to say, well, look, it's a civil matter, isn't it? Go and chat with her or something. You can't get solicitor or police onto it. It's silly. Also had an email, well, more than one email, several actually. I must have brought this up, was it last week or the week before? I forget what I've said. You forget what I've said, don't you? You don't really listen. You don't listen and I can't remember, so I don't know why we do all this. No, it's good. I love talking to you. And I know many of you love listening to me talking to you. Talking rubbish. That's that word beginning with B again. Talking rubbish. Now I forget what I was going to say again. Oh, that's what it was. People using loads and loads of words, shed loads, bucket loads of words to say one simple sentence. So instead of, I saw an old lady fall over outside the sweet shop the other day, it will be, I was going to the sweet shop the other day. It was Thursday. Oh, no, hang on. It wasn't Thursday. It must have been Tuesday. No, it was Wednesday, wasn't it? Of course, it was Wednesday because I met so-and-so for coffee. We always meet on a Wednesday. So I went over the sweet shop, had a job crossing that road. Do you know that road? Well, I don't know how the bus drivers cope. It's gridlocked all the time. They just can't. How can they be on time at any bus stop when they're gridlocked? Anyway, I eventually got across the road and there was this old lady. Actually, funnily enough, before I tell you about the old lady, I bumped into Fred. Do you remember Fred? Do you remember he used to live over the road? Yeah, with his wife, that's it. And it goes on and on like this, when all she had to say was, or he, oh dear, I'm being sexist, let's do they, shall we? All they had to say was, this poor old lady outside the sweet shop, she fell over and hurt her hip, and they called an ambulance and off she went. Hope she's all right. That's all it needs, isn't it? Not a kind of 2-hour, it's not even a synopsis, a 2-hour full-length novel about your trip to the sweet shop and a lady fell over. That is annoying. Do you find that annoying? Raise rants at protonmail.com. I find it extremely annoying. If someone has a stutter, then that is a genuine problem for them. It's embarrassing for them. They don't like it. And I wouldn't take the mickey, out of that. That's a problem. But some people, I'm not going to mention names again, but there's one woman on the telly. She goes on to various news programmes and she is dreadful. I won't mention her politics, but she's awful. She will say, for example, this will be her, right? She will say, I think what the problem is, the problem is, you see, when I was younger and this sort of thing, when this cropped up, what I mean is, the problem is, and she goes on like this, well, what is the problem? What is the problem, woman? Tell us. We're all waiting to find out. It's not a stutter. I don't know what it is. Is it some kind of affliction that she can't help? Or is she just mad? Probably both. I don't know anyone like that. I wouldn't laugh at them. I don't know. I might say, if one of the family did that, I might say, can't you just string a sentence together without voice? Tricia reckons I'm becoming less tolerant in my old age. I was never tolerant. I've never suffered fools, gladly or otherwise. Idiots. Absolute idiots. Is that Irish? Idiots. They say that on was it the Mrs. Brown's Boys programme, Egypt? That must be Irish. I like the Irish accent. I can't do it. My friend can do accents. I can't. I wish I could. He answers the phone sometimes and it'll be one of these cold callers, Hello, how's your day going? Well, it was all right till you phoned. He'll pretend to be French or something or Chinese. He's really good at putting on these voices and accents. And he just gets rid of them that way. He makes out he can't understand a word they're saying. And of course, they just hang up. I don't know whether they flag his number. Don't bother with that number. Probably not, because they're all dialed automatically, aren't they? They're not dialed by manually, They're computer dialed. And when someone answers, then the person there will speak to them and start going on. They don't bother anymore, but I used to love it when you get a phone call. Oh, hi, this is Microsoft. It's about your computer. Oh, yeah, what's the problem? Yeah, the problem is it looks like your computer's been hacked. We care for our clients, our customers. Now, if you could, are you at your computer now? And I'd say yes. Right, could you just go into blah, blah, blah? And they tell me what to type. Yes, I've typed that. Okay, just click OK on that button there. Okay, you see that? Yes, I can see that, yeah. Have you clicked OK? And I say, yes, I've done that. Right, are you sure you've clicked OK? Because it's not coming up our end. Yeah, I've clicked OK on that. And this would go on for ages. And I just wind them up. I didn't even have the computer in front of me, you know. And in the end, they just hang up. But I love winding them up, wasting their time. It was quite funny. I have pretended to be Chinese before on the phone. I'm no good at it at all. But the phone rings, you say hello, and they'll start. Oh, hello, hope you're having a good day. Ah, so, good day, good day, good day, good day. I'm Chinese. Hopeless at it, but they just hang up. Perhaps I'm the one that's mad. I don't know, you have to be mad, don't you, to be in this world. Happy days. They don't phone anymore. In fact, our landline phone, there's only Trisha's mum that phones now. On that, no one else bothers. I wonder why. I don't answer it. I don't answer it anymore at all. I'm fed up. Well, I got fed up with people cold calling and, hello, how's your day going? And I have said to people, well, it was all right till you phoned. What do you want? Oh, don't be like that. I don't want it. I just don't answer it. Trish said, have a look on the dial thing and see who it is. If it's mum, then take the call. If it's not, I just don't answer the damn thing anyway. I just leave it. I want it taken away, the landline phone, but Trish wants to keep it. And as I'm in charge, I've agreed to let her keep it. Did I tell you her sister was here once and she sat in my chair? I've got my own armchair, you see. And I said, oh, you're sitting in the boss's chair. And she said, Trisha won't mind. I said, no, I'm the boss. She said, no, you're not. Trisha is. I make them laugh. I make her mum laugh. Trisha's mum. I'll just say, look, who's in charge in this house? Trisha says, I am. Oh, okay. Just going back to friends, people coming round unannounced, uninvited. In the old days, I've said that people left their doors open. Not the front door. You didn't leave the front door to the street wide open, you know, for anyone just to wander in and out. Normally the side door or the back door was open. If a neighbour wanted to come and see you to borrow a cup of sugar or whatever, or just be annoying, they wouldn't walk into your house. They would knock. Hello, anyone there? Hello. So if you were busy, all you had to do was shut your back door. Just shut it. And they couldn't get in. They might knock, but they wouldn't be able to come and annoy you. I did say in a previous episode talking about back doors being left open, but it wasn't a problem because, as I say, people didn't just wander in. A thief would. If you've got the back door open and you're in another room upstairs or something like that, then a thief could wander in, but there didn't seem to be thieves. Well, there were thieves around, of course there were in the old days, but I don't know, it just didn't happen. A friend of mine years ago, he popped down to the local shop, closed his front door. He didn't do the deadlock though, you know, this deadlock thing. He didn't do that. He was literally going to the corner shop and back. When he got back, the front door was open. His wife's jewellery up in the bedroom in her jewellery box, the whole lot had gone. Someone had obviously seen him pop out, got in through the door. This is before the days of double glazing, so a credit card you could poke through for the Yale lock, you know. Door would open, upstairs in the bedroom, have a quick look around. Oh, look, jewellery box, grab that and gone. All within probably half a minute, say a minute. Whereas the deadlock thing, had he done that, you couldn't have put your credit card through. But there we are. These things happen. Just be careful. Had an email from Liam. Hello, Liam. How are you? Liam says that he got sacked from his job. Hang on, there's a pigeon in the cherry tree. Get out of it. I don't know what they're doing in that. Anyway, it's another issue. Yeah, Liam got the sack. It's not funny. Well, he was laughing in his email. He laughs now because this was a few years ago. All it was, you weren't allowed to have a break outside the break times. Now, he wanted to phone his girlfriend, and what he did, there was a phone box outside wherever he worked. I think it was a warehouse from what Liam describes. It's some sort of warehouse or store, not a shop. Anyway, he popped out to the phone box, made a quick phone call to his girlfriend. He was gone 2 or 3 minutes, he reckons. That was it. No one knew about it, apart from this colleague of his. 10 minutes later, he was called to the boss's office, and he got the sack. And Liam said, why, what have I done? He said, well, you went out, you made a phone call. You broke the rules, you know, you had a break, you went out, you left the building. You're not allowed to do that. It doesn't matter if it's 2 or 3 minutes or 2 or 3 hours. That's it. And he got the sack. And this chap, his colleague that he worked with, he called him Mr. Jobsworth. There are people like that. They will report their friends, their mates, probably their family, for the slightest misdemeanour. People make mistakes at work, and Liam explains in his email that another friend of his, he made a mistake at work. He got the wrong day for a delivery. He thought the delivery was on a Friday and it should have been on the Thursday. He got it wrong, he mucked up. The boss didn't know about it. He delivered the stuff on the wrong day. The customer was all right. Oh, don't worry about that. It should have been here yesterday, but it's not urgent. And this colleague of his went and told the boss, delivered that a day late. That customer, they had to wait. Should have been there Thursday, didn't get there till Friday. And this chap got the sack. Thank you for your email, Liam. Another lengthy email. Took me 3 hours to read. No, it wasn't quite that bad. What I do with the really lengthy emails, I make the computer read them to me because I can then get on with something. I can be doing things, making notes about the email as it's being read out to me, which is quite a good way of doing it, actually. And I also, when replying to emails, I think I've told you this before, if I've got quite a lot to say, I won't type it. It's better just to speak, do it on the microphone. So I'll type something like, "Hi Liam," and then press the microphone thing and start chatting. And I can explain what I want to say to him. But of course, what happens is sometimes someone will shout on my radio in here, "Oh Ray, are you there? You listening?" Or Trish will shout upstairs, "Do you want a cup of tea?" And of course it comes out on the email that I'm writing. So I've got to be very careful. Go through it, obviously, and make sure that nothing has popped in that shouldn't have done. It's quite funny sometimes, the things that pop up on the email. So if ever you're reading an email from me, a reply to you, and you see something like, "When are you going to fix that fence? You should have fixed that fence at the weekend." You'll know that's Trisha going on at me. "I must do the fence. The back fence is broken." My fault, but I won't go into that. But it's not broken. It's just come away at the top. It needs a couple of holes drilling in it and some decent screws putting in to hold the panel back together at the top. That's all it is. She pointed it out to me 3 days ago. Is it on my list? 3 days ago. No, it's not on my list. I did have the list hidden, but she was looking for it the other day and she found it. Oh dear, what's that old expression? There are no flies on Trisha. Do you know, I didn't understand that when I was a boy. I used to get the Beano comic and the Dandy, and one of the characters would say, "Arf, arf," as in ARF, ARF. And I thought, what does that mean? Arf, arf. I'm still not sure what it means. And another one was, someone's looking for something. Another chap on the comic, he'd say, "Search me." And I think, well, why search him if they're looking for, say, a dog? They've lost a dog. Why would they search him? He hasn't got the dog in his pocket, has he? Search me. I didn't understand that. I was probably, 8 years old. I didn't understand a lot of things back then. I don't understand a lot of things now. Talking of thieves and thieving, there was one item back in the old day, video recorders, when they first came out. I remember on the telly, people would suggest that if you've got a video recorder in your lounge, put something, it would be under the TV, wouldn't it, on a TV stand, put a cushion or something in front of it. So from through the window outside, you can't see the video recorder or the little lights on the front, the little LED timer or whatever it was, things like that, the clock, because people would break in and nick the video recorder. They were quite expensive when they first came out. Another thing when they first came out that was popular amongst thieves, transistor radios, because you'd have a transistor radio on your kitchen windowsill. The kids would have them in their bedrooms, perhaps one in the dining room or wherever. All a thief had to do, a tiny little thing, isn't it? Wander into your kitchen, take the radio off the shelf, and he's gone. He's got the new battery in it. He's got it tuned into the light program so he can listen to Jimmy Young. "What's the recipe today, Jim?" Do you remember that? Happy days. Well, not happy getting your radio nicked. I know one or two people, though, they had a transistor radio in the kitchen and they disappeared. Now, that wasn't the 50s. I think that was the 70s, more like probably 70s, yeah. A lot of these items were sold in pubs. You get a chap come in and he'd look around. "Anyone want a video recorder? Nice video recorder, almost new, 50 quid. And of course someone would say, "Oh, well, let's have a look." I remember one time I was in a pub and a couple of CID men came in. You could always tell CID men. That's what they Central Intelligence Detect. Well, I don't know what they are. If you're listening abroad, it's the cops. What's CID? It's not Central Criminal Intelligence. I don't know, some detective. And you could tell these people a mile off. I don't know what it was about them. Their suits, their shirt and tie. It was just, you just knew they were coppers. And these two coppers came in anyway. They're having half a beer each. And this particular pub was known for dodgy goods, I suppose, put it that way. And this chap came in a bit later. Anyone want a video recorder? And one of these coppers said, oh, yeah, what's that? Oh, I'm interested in that. This lad, he was only, late teens, early 20s. He said, oh, I've got it in the car. Come out and have a look. I'll show you. Anyway, he wasn't seen again. The CID blokes went out with him to the car. And that was that. We didn't see the CID blokes or the lad again. So he got nicked. But a lot of that went on in pubs. I do remember people saying, anyone interested in a nice little camera? Got a nice Japanese camera. Got a nice transistor radio, almost new. New battery in it. I didn't buy anything, of course. Well, I didn't need to. I was in the trade. If I wanted a transistor radio, I could buy one from work, cheap, get it staff discount and all that. So I didn't need to buy dodgy gear in pubs. But some of the things on offer, what was it? One chap came in. He was selling bunk beds. He said, anyone want some bunk beds too? You got a couple of kids, bunk beds, almost new, blah, blah, blah. And he had them in the back of a van, all taken to bits, of course, in the back of a van outside. Someone went out there and bought them and got them delivered. I don't know what that was about, but I know it was one of the dodgy characters. Probably robbed some house and went into some kid's bedroom. Oh, look, bunk beds, we'll have those. I've no idea why they would nick something like that. It's Criminal Investigation Department, isn't it? CID, Criminal Investigation Department. And what's the FBI? Federal Bureau of Investigation or something. Used to be quite interesting sometimes watching these villains come into the pub. Someone else that used to come into the pubs, I don't know whether they do it now, were the fish people. They'd sell shellfish, jellied eels, mussels, cockles. They'd have these wicker baskets, a big wicker basket full of all this smelly fish stuff. Seashells. She sells seashells on the seashore, that stuff. And they go around selling these dreadful things to people, and people would sit at their tables dipping their fingers into these jellied eels and disgusting. Oh, pub used to stink. I don't think they go around the pubs anymore. Someone else or other people that used to go around the pubs were the Salvation Army. Do you remember them? The Sally Army, the Sally Ann, or whatever it's called. They'd come in with their magazine, War Cry. Do you remember that? And you could buy a War Cry magazine. You give them a shilling or whatever it was, sixpence or something, or in the new money, whatever. They used to go around the pubs, which was good. A lot of people did put their hands in their pockets, which was nice. I used to give them a couple of bob now and then. I didn't want the magazine. I'd say, no, keep your magazine for someone else. I didn't want that. I'd just give them a couple of bob, as a lot of people did. So that was good. But I don't know that they go round now. So was it Sunday mornings? It could be annoying. The Salvation Army brass band, kind of 4 o'clock in the morning. Well, not quite 4 o'clock, probably 8 or 9 o'clock Sunday morning. They're marching through the streets, their brass band blaring out, waking people up. For many people, Sunday was their only day off and they're woken up early. I don't think they do that anymore. I haven't heard a Salvation Army band for years, decades. It's a shame all these things have gone. It is. I nearly said something else has taken its place, which blares out in certain towns, but we won't go there. I heard something funny the other day. A chap was talking to this friend of his, well, presumably he was a friend. He said, if common sense was chocolate, you wouldn't have enough to fill a Smartie. I like that. You wouldn't have enough chocolate to fill a Smartie. I've never heard that one before. I do like that. Email from Paula. She says, do you remember back in the 50s? Yes, I probably do. Do you remember when it was so cold in the winter that you put coats on the bed? Yes, I do. Because you'd have your sheets, then a blanket or two, then an eiderdown, which was sort of equivalent to a quilt back then. And then, if it's really cold, Mum would come and put coats on our beds to keep us warm, or to try to keep us warm. I do remember that, Paula. Hot water bottles, things like that, thick pyjamas. It was amazing, wasn't it? Can you imagine people now putting coats on their beds? Perhaps some do. I don't know, perhaps some do. I did like the beds the way they were. The quilt is all right, but they fall off and I don't know. I like the proper sheets, proper blankets all tucked in, eider down on top, or the bedspread. It's the Candlewick bedspread. Who remembers that? Then the eider down. If you haven't heard of an eider down, it's basically a quilt which is full of eider duck feathers, as in eider down, down as in feathers, yes. Right, where are we? It's Saturday. It's a lovely day. We have sunshine, blue sky, but cold. Chilly out there now. Leaves are dropping off the trees and everything, sweeping up leaves every day now. So it's a lovely day though. We have sunshine, which is good. Email from Vince the other day asking, hello Vince if you're listening, asking about the difference between homes back in the 50s and these days. Well, I think I've covered that, Vince, haven't I? No central heating back then. Coats on the bed because you're freezing cold in the winter. No double glazing, of course. Just single pane of glass. Drafty. The old sash windows, if you're in an older house, they would rattle in the wind. They let the draft come through. Awful. The cavity walls weren't insulated. You didn't have cavity insulation. Lofts weren't insulated. You didn't have all the fiberglass insulation in the loft. In fact, I don't think people had insulation anywhere, apart from coats on the bed. It really was different. And of course, the main form of heating was the coal fire. I've gone through all this in the past, Vince, but you say you're a new listener, so welcome aboard. I'll just mention a few things. Wash day was Monday, of course. The coalman would arrive. I remember the coalman. His face was black, his hands were black. That can't have done him any good, you know, all that soot. No, it's not soot, is it? It's coal dust. He'd lug the bags up the driveway round the back of the house, tip the coal into the coal bunker. He must have been pretty fit, even in the winter. Well, it was mainly the winter when he delivered coal, of course. He must have been pretty fit to do that lugging. What were they, 100 weight? I think they were 100 weight, the bags, whatever that is. Is it £111? I can't remember. They told me at school, but that's about 100 years ago, so I can't remember that. But that must have been an awful job, and I would imagine the wages were rubbish. We had milk delivered, of course, every morning. The milkman would arrive and leave the bottles outside the door, on the doorstep. So many things were so different. As I've said before, the car, Dad's car, no heater in it, no radio in it. It was as cold in the car as it was outside. I remember my grandfather saying, now this was the 60s, I remember it was midwinter, and he said, I saw a chap driving round in his car in his shirt sleeves, just a white shirt with the sleeves rolled up, in this weather. And I said, well, he's probably got a heater in the car. Really? A heater? See, when he had a car, he stopped driving, I think, in the 50s. And his car didn't have a heater or a radio, and he couldn't understand it. Yes, Grandad, they have heaters in cars and radios, and it's nice and warm. When I got my first transistor radio, I was, 12, I believe. We were visiting my grandparents, and I took the radio with me and showed him. All he had was a 1940s valve radio, which is the type that I used to restore, of course. That's what I did. And when I showed him this transistor radio, he hadn't seen one before. He was strange. He wouldn't watch ITV. He didn't like ITV at all. Now, ITV had the adverts on, so he didn't know what a transistor radio was. Well, he said he didn't. I'm sure he knew what it was, but he'd never seen one. And when I showed him, tuned around various stations, he was quite taken aback. And he went out and bought one. He went and bought a transistor radio because he had another old valve radio in his garage, which was on its last legs. So he used this transistor radio in the garage or wherever he was, in the garden, and he really enjoyed it. They were funny, my grandparents. I mentioned Cliff Richard once. I was showing him my record player, and I played Cliff Richard, Please Don't Tease. Do you know that one? Oh, please don't tease me. Something like that. Anyway, he said, oh, who sings that? And I said, Cliff Richard. And he said, oh, I don't think we've heard of Cliff Richard. He looked at his, my grandmother, his wife. He said, have we heard of Cliff Richard, dear? And she said, oh, I don't think so. Of course they'd heard of Cliff Richard. Idiots. Idiots. They did that deliberately. Of course they'd heard of Cliff Richard. Oh, why make out you haven't? Anyway, there we are. They were stupid. I mean, I got on with them all right. It's just that they were a bit weird. My brother gave them an LP, vinyl, a record, an LP of some classical music. And they opened the present and saw it was this LP. handed it straight back to him and said, oh, no, no, we don't like that sort of thing. It was something they didn't go along. I don't know what it was, but they gave it back. You don't do that. Someone gives you a present, you unwrap it in front of them. Oh, no, I don't want that. Hand it back. How weird is that? Now, that's when you do have to tell a white lie. Someone gives you a present and you think, oh, for goodness sake, I don't want that. You still say, oh, thank you very much. I've always wanted one of those. And when they've gone, you chuck it in the bin. No, when they've gone, you put it on eBay and sell it. I've known people do that. And also, presents go round. Have you noticed that? Let's say someone gives you, I don't know, say a candle. You know, these smelly candles, all right? Scented candles. So someone gives you a scented candle. Oh, we don't like that. So what you do is someone else's birthday or Christmas comes along and you give it to someone else as a present. Someone that the person that gave the gift to you doesn't know. So you give it to them. Now, this has happened. I know this has happened definitely once. They didn't like it, so they give it to someone else. And you know, after a couple of years, the candle comes back. Now, it wasn't a candle in this case, but this happened to us. It had gone round, people giving it to different people as presents, all right? And it ended up, Happy Christmas, oh, lovely, let's open the present. Ah, we've seen this before about 2 years ago. That is true, that happened. I wonder whether that's happened to you. Raise rants at protonmail.com. Have you had presents that you don't want? So what you do is give it as a present to someone else. Nothing wrong with that, I suppose. Better than throwing it away or selling it on eBay. It's very difficult buying presents for people these days. In the 50s, the 60s, children's presents were easy. Dolls, teddy bears, train sets, dinky cars, dinky toys, corgi cars, all that sort of thing. Spud guns for the boys, cap guns, you know, it was easy. These days, what do you get them? They've got their mobile phone, their iPods, their iPads, their earpods, their earpads. What do you get them? It's very difficult, isn't it? Is it Xbox? I don't know what Xbox is. People all talk about it. I think it's a game, isn't it? And they're very expensive, the games. They want Xbox games or whatever you call them. And they're like thousands of pounds. Well, I don't know how much they are. They're not thousands, but it's a lot of money. Everything's so expensive these days. What do you get people? It's very difficult, isn't it? Family, not just children, but older members of the family. What do you get them? Money is all right, I suppose. I don't like vouchers. Oh, look, you've got a Marks and Spencer's voucher. For those outside the UK, Marks and Spencer's, you probably know it. It's a kind of clothes shop, isn't it? I think they do food as well. So you've got to spend the voucher at Marks and Spencer's or at a garden centre. They're not so bad, garden centre vouchers, but then it's only certain garden centres and there's not one in your area. You've got to drive 25 miles to the garden centre. So you give the voucher to someone else for their birthday present. Are they transferable? I don't know. I think the best thing really is cash, isn't it? You like to open your birthday card. Oh, look, 10 quid, that'll do. I can buy half a pint of bitter with that. That's about all you get these days. I don't know why people give vouchers. I don't think we've ever given anyone a voucher. It's daft. Well, unless someone's given us a voucher and we don't want it. So we give it to someone else. Cash, though, the trouble is with cash, people say, oh, there's no thought been put into it. A present, you've had to go out and choose the present and buy it and wrap it. Well, that's not really true, is it? Because you can buy a present on Amazon for someone and wrap it up yourself. Or do they? I think they wrap them, don't they? I think you can have it sent directly to the person. You don't have to leave your armchair. It's our wedding anniversary soon, and I just got the card. It arrived from Moonpig. I don't have to leave the computer. I just sit here and order the card. I always do Moonpig cards because I don't go shopping with Trish. She goes up to Sainsbury's. She does it all herself. I don't go shopping with her. So I don't go out. I don't go into town. I certainly won't go down there. So where do I buy a card from? Anyway, I've got the anniversary card ready for when that comes up. There we are. You see, I've earned my brownie points. Don't forget the anniversary or birthday. What is it they say? Happy wife, happy life. Something like that. Amberley Museum. Loads of emails about the red buses. Did you see the red buses I put on? raiserants.info, the website. raiserants.info. I put the little video on as well of the trammo car. Loads of you liked that. That was good, wasn't it, that trammo car? We were on a bus upstairs on an open sort of top bus. The trammo car was following us and Tricia videoed it. I think I told you, was it last Wednesday? That used to go along Worthing seafront and Tricia's grandma used to go on it. She'd go from east to west Worthing or whichever way it was. And now we've been on the very same one that she went on. And it was that one because there was only one. So that was really good. And loads of emails about the red London buses. I used to like the trolley buses in London. My other grandparents lived in Sutton, in Surrey. And whenever I went up to see them, we'd go off out somewhere and we'd see the trolley buses. I loved the trolley buses. They were great. I used to watch the pantograph things on the wires ahead. I'd stand there as a child for ages. I say child, 10 years old? I was a child. Watching, thinking, how do they follow the wires? Why don't they fall off? I didn't know how it worked. And I remember I asked one of the drivers, he got out of his tram, and I said to him, how many volts are there on those wires? What voltage is it? And he said, I don't know. I thought, well, that's a lot of good. The driver doesn't know the voltage on the wires. So I didn't bother to ask him how the pantograph thing had clung on to the wire. How did it cling on to the wires? Does anyone know? Any ex-tram drivers? Trolley bus drivers? Who remembers the trolley buses in London? They were fantastic. And who remembers the Green Line buses in Sutton, in Surrey, Croydon, that sort of area up there? Green Line. My nan used to get the Green Line bus because they had the red buses in sort of central London and the Green Line in the suburbs. Was it? I don't know. I'm going back to the 50s, aren't I? But those trolley buses were fantastic. And as I've said again many times over the years, we had electric buses. What do? Oh, let's go diesel. Let's stink the place out with diesel fumes. Then years later, oh, diesel's terrible. Why don't we have electric buses? Oh, there's an idea. No one's ever thought of that. What? God damn it. Talk about... Anyway, let's move on from that. Who remembers trolley buses? Raise rants at protonmail.com. I think there's a trolley bus museum somewhere, isn't there? I was going to move on, but I just thought I've seen that advertised somewhere. I shall have to have a look. What I need really, or what we need, is a camper van. That would be great. The trouble is, where would I keep it? But that would be great. I could go to York. We want to go to York, right? We've wanted to go there for years because that's where the National Railway Museum is. They've got the Flying Scotsman, and the Mallard steam engine, which broke the world speed record, I believe, 126 miles an hour, was it? But York, if you want to go on the train to York, we looked into this a couple of years ago, 600 quid. What? We're not flying to Australia. We're going by train up the road to York. Anyway, then we thought we'd drive. I'm not driving that way. I'm not going up the M1. Disaster. Awful. Bad enough driving up to Bletchley Park a couple of years ago. So I don't know how we would get to York unless someone else drives. My brother-in-law, as you probably remember, I told you, went to Bletchley Park. He drove us there. I don't want to drive. I'm getting too old for all this driving around. I don't mind locally. I don't mind the Isle of Wight, but I'm not driving up the M1 to York and all that business. Stone the crows. I count idiots. When we leave the house in the car, we normally encounter our first idiot before we've got out of our road, right? If it's not in our road, then it's just round the corner somewhere. Idiot number one, I will say. Actually, I don't use the word idiot. I use another word that begins with K, but I can't say that. So idiot number one, and by the time we get to where we're going, say it's Tricia's mum's house or sister's house or wherever we're going, we've got to perhaps 16 or more idiots. People that pull out, people that indicate left and turn right, people that don't indicate at all, people that indicate left at a roundabout where there is no left exit. They're going straight ahead. So you think, well, where are they going? Are they going in that field? What are they doing? People that just stop in front of you for no reason. I know what's happened. You're looking ahead. What's up there ahead? Nothing. What's going on? Oh, a car's coming the other way. And there's only enough room for a double-decker bus. And they're driving a little smart car. They can't get through, obviously. So they have to stop. As I say, I think the most idiots we counted on the way to Tricia's mum, which is only, 2, 3, 4 miles away. I think the most idiots we had was only about 14, so that's not too bad. I've said to Tricia, there weren't all these idiots on the road, when I started driving in the old days. And every time she comes out with this answer, yeah, well, there weren't so many people, there weren't so many cars on the road, so there won't be so many idiots. That's true, but the cars on the roads back then, the drivers weren't idiots. I know it's sort of proportional or whatever, but the cars on the roads, the drivers weren't idiots. There were some, of course, but not so many. And you know what I'm getting at, don't you? You can't do the mathematical thing. It's just that there were less idiots around on the roads back then. Nothing to do with less cars. Something like that. Are you an idiot driver? Let me know if you're an idiot. Raise rants at protonmail.com. Are you a useless driver? Some people just can't drive. They just can't do it, and they will freely admit it. They are nervous. They are a nervous wreck, clinging onto the steering wheel. I remember a driving instructor. He said to me that he has known people, they're gripping the steering wheel so tight, they're sweating, their hands are clammy, and you can see the sweat running down the steering wheel. He said he's had clients like that. Now, people like that shouldn't drive. They can't. It doesn't suit everyone, does it? Driving. It doesn't suit everyone. It's not the sort of thing that everyone can take to. Some people take to it like a duck to water, which is an odd expression. Others just can't do it. Say with Morse code. I learnt Morse code back in the 60s, 70s, and it was easy for me. I got up to speed. I went to the Coast Guard station, took the exam. A radio officer did the exam with me, and I passed. Other people, they can't do it. But it's weird. It's like riding a bike. Some people just get on a bike and ride it for the first time. Others have trouble. It's strange, isn't it, how people are different. Look at music. They reckon that Brian Jones of the Rolling Stones, I remember, was it Jagger saying that give Brian any instrument and within half an hour he's mastered it. That's amazing. Give someone else an instrument, they just don't know what to do. They haven't got a clue. They're not musical or whatever. So it's all interesting stuff. What I have often wondered about, I see on YouTube these kids, 3 years old, 5 years old, at a grand piano, and they're playing like a concert pianist. How do they do? How do you teach a 3-year-old to play classical music like a concert pianist? They must be born with something, don't you think? They used to say, oh, he's gifted. Is it a gift, do you think? If so, where from? I've no idea. The universe. Don't mention the universe. I'll have a phone call from North Carolina. Hello, you lot out there. Hope you're okay, North Carolina. Hope the weather's being nice to you. Winter's coming. So, yes, some people are just gifted, aren't they, and other people aren't. Happy days. I've just remembered something that happened the other day. I went into a shop, which is highly unusual, as you know, because I hate shops. I hate everything about towns and everything. Trish and I went into this shop. There's a lady in front of us waiting to be served, and behind the counter, 2 girls. They could have been 2 boys, I'm not being sexist, or 2 them, theys, or whatever, it's, or whatever they are. These 2 behind the counter were chatting about going out. What time should we go? Should we go at 8 o'clock? OK, I'll meet you there at 8 o'clock. Oh, it's going to be fun. Don't forget to tell so-and-so. They're rabbiting on like this, and the lady in front of us is waiting patiently to be served. She'd put her items on the counter, and in the end she said, sorry to interrupt you 2, but as you're so busy, I'll leave my shopping, and she walked out. And they were saying, oh, no, come back. Oh, please come back. Anyway, they served us all right, but this happens, Trish was telling me, this happens quite a bit in shops. You're going to a shop to get served, and they're too busy talking to serve you. It's awful, isn't it? That didn't happen in the old days. Who was it? Vince. Was it Vince asked about the old days? That didn't happen back then. You go into a shop and they were ultra polite. Good afternoon, sir. Good morning, madam. Can I help you? These days they might sort of look up. What do you want? Well, they don't say what. Well, some of them do. They might mumble, can I help you? But they're not interested. They're not interested. They weren't interested in the old days, but they made out they were. I think that's the difference. Good morning, madam. How can I help you on this lovely day? And they're thinking, oh, I don't want to be here at all. I'd rather be at home. Anyway, there we are. That's just another thought that came to me out of the blue. Clouds are bubbling up over the north there, over the South Downs. They look a bit black, some of them, but I think we're okay. The flag is not doing much at all, sort of milling around doing nothing. Cherry tree isn't moving. Well, it is. It's growing. It's getting bigger. It's got to be at least 20, 25 feet tall now. I'm going to have to keep that trimmed down a bit, because the last thing I want to have to do is let it get too big and then hire a tree surgeon. That would probably cost a fortune. It's only a smallish tree, but it would cost a fortune. So I must keep that trimmed. Lee, if you're listening, we'll have to have a JS8 contact on perhaps top band, 160 metres if we can do it. I'll just chuck this in. Private message to Lee, chap I know. Might as well chuck that in. Big shout out to Lee up in Liverpool. It is Liverpool, isn't it, Lee? We'll have to have a chat. We'll have to email and make a sked. We used to call it skeds. Is it American to say schedule and British say schedule? I forget which way round it is. I think we say schedule and they say schedule. I can't remember. Nothing to do with the podcast episode whatsoever. Couple more quick hellos. Hello to Kerry, not too far away from me. Not on Facebook or Instagram anymore. So, Kerry, we will have to email directly if there's anything to say. If you want to enlighten me as to what you're doing, that would be good. Rants@protonmail.com. Doreen, of course, Auntie Doreen. Hello to you out in Seattle. And Amy and Clive and all the clan. I hope you're all okay out there. Hello to Bob. Hello to everyone. I can't list everyone. Do you know I started making a list once of the listeners that had emailed me, and I had their names and where they were in the world. And the list got so long, in the end I did away with it because I do have quite a few listeners, which is nice. As I said the other day or in this episode, 36% of listeners are in America, 34% in UK, and the rest percentages are strewn around the world, scattered around the world, all over the place. Rather interesting. I must say hello to Mark in Ireland. Hello, Marco. How you doing out there in Ireland, Dublin? Hope you're all right. And some locals. Alan, you'll know who you are. Martin, you'll know who you are. Dave, do you listen? I can't remember whether you listen. I think you used to, Dave, but you can't anymore. Mark, not Mark in Ireland, Mark in, is it Feltham near Bognor? Mark, wherever you are. Well, I know where you are. I've been to your house. Do you listen? I think you listen as well. Anyway, hello to everyone. Coming up to the hour, so I'm going to disappear. Oh, that's a relief. You're thinking, oh, thank goodness for that. I can switch off at last. You can switch off when you like. Did I tell you? I can't remember what I've told you and what I haven't. There was some comment on my podcast episode. Some chap put, I switched off after a couple of minutes. I thought, well, that's nice. Anyway, whoever you are, if you're listening to this, well, you won't be. We're now coming up to the hour. You couldn't do 2 minutes, could you? Let alone an hour. So there we are. That's a nice comment. I switched off after 2 minutes. It's not everyone's cup of tea, is it? Talking of tea, I've just been brought a coffee by young Tricia, which is nice. We've had Mr. Fox back in the garden and Mickey Mouse. He's been wandering around. But Mr. Fox is coming every night again. I don't know why. There's no food out there. There's peanuts for these squirrels. Well, mind you, there aren't many left by the time the fox gets there. The peanuts have all gone. The squirrels have pigged them all. So I don't know what the fox is doing. I've watched the last couple of nights on the trail cam, the video. He's just wandering around, sniffing around, jumps up onto the bench, walks across the lawn, just poking about. I don't know what he's doing. He must be looking for food, but you'd think by now he would have learnt, well, there's no food in that garden, so I'll give it a miss. I don't know, perhaps not. If I get some really good video clips on the trail cam, I'll put them on the website again, raiserants.info. Okay, I think, is that enough? Have you had enough? I've got one or two things to do, so I'm going to see you on Wednesday, aren't I, for the midweek message. I hope you have a good week. Hope the weather's all right. Don't forget to email me, raiserants@protonmail.com. Always lovely to hear from people, and I do try to answer them all straight away. But if you don't get an answer within a day or so, don't give up. I haven't forgotten you. Winter's well on the way. I must get some coal. In fact, where's my lit? Oh, look. Trisha's already put it on the list. Coal. For the coal fire. We've got wood, plenty of wood. She's put coal. She must have found my list. I'll have to hide it again. Actually, she's got her own list. Perhaps I ought to add things to that. Be good, be bad. If you're bad, don't get caught. I will see you on Wednesday, as I said. Hope the weather's kind to you. Hope everything's good. Have a good week. Take care. And as always, thanks for listening. Really enjoyed your company. Bye-bye for now.